The world is not a frontier. Dawn was breaking by the time the party returned to the fortress. Horses and people alike were caked in blood and mud. 2 soldiers carried a stretcher, and Hardin lay atop it. He had remained on his feet until they left the abandoned mine, but lost consciousness halfway down the mountain trail. There were no empty beds in the infirmary. Soldiers shot at the south gate, customs officers injured at the ferry, and miners crushed by rocks in the abandoned mine occupied even the floor. The healers washed strips of cloth and reused them, while dirt settled at the bottom of the water buckets. An elderly healer removed the cloth covering Hardin's forehead. Stone dust and scraps of fabric were embedded in the gaping wound. He's lost too much blood, and after moving all night, he's burning up.
Can you save him?
If we clean the wound and stop the bleeding now, he'll hold on, but the damage runs deep. Without the proper tools to cut away the ruined flesh and stitch him up, it'll fester within days. Hardin barely managed to open his eyes.
My lord.
Leon bent closer.
Don't talk. Did you catch them? We did, and we recovered the stake.
Only then did the tension leave Hardin's rigid face. He closed his eyes again. Leon spoke to the healer.
Keep him alive. Use whatever you need.
We'll wash the wound with boiled water and use healing arts to mend the torn blood vessels first. After that, I can promise nothing. Leon left the infirmary as soon as he heard the answer. He could not afford to stop. The prisoners and recovered evidence were waiting. 3 groups of evidence had been laid out on the table in the South Gate guard room. The first consisted of 3 consecutively numbered passes and the stolen customs seal they had recovered. The second held a miner's work token and a hand-drawn map marked with the shift change times at 3 locations. The third contained the silver stake, a needle gauge, and the prisoners' contracts. Yun Sioha pointed to the 3 passes in order.
The first team drew attention at the south gate, and the second stole the seal at the ferry. The third used that seal to enter the abandoned mine and conduct a survey.
She opened the contracts to the section naming the payer. The prisoners had given the names of different security companies, but the money all came from one place. Frontier Resources. The contracts also promised additional compensation if they secured the mine and the facilities around the gate on the same day. The 3 battles had all been part of a single operation to seize control. The mine clerk looked up the work token number in an old ledger. It belonged to a man who had maintained the drainage channels several years ago. When the soldiers went to his house, the room was empty. His wife confessed that her husband had gone to the charcoal kiln behind the abandoned mine before dawn. There, the soldiers found mud-caked boots, a saw used to cut through the iron door, and a debt note bearing writing from beyond the gate. The moment the man was dragged into the guard room, he recognized the work token. As Leon laid out the evidence one piece at a time, the man dropped to his knees.
It was because of the debt. Who did you owe? I bought medicine from beyond the gate on credit. My wife was sick. At first, they said I only had to pay back a little. But they kept raising the price.
The man said that a broker who did business with the company had come to him with the debt note. The broker promised to erase the debt if he provided the guard's shift schedules at the south gate and the ferry, along with the old route into the abandoned mine. The man had also told them about the rusted door on the mountainside.
I didn't know they would come with guns.
Orban asked coldly.
Could you say that in front of the dead?
The man could not answer. Leon had him taken to the underground cells. Debt did not absolve him of his crime. But the fact remained that the company had used medicine and debt together to buy its way in. Yun Sioha opened the document case belonging to the company representative she had captured at the south gate. Beneath the cover sheet, a separate bundle of papers had been concealed in waterproof cloth. She had spent the night matching their dates and destinations.
You need to see this too.
The first page was a rejection notice sent to the company by the Public Administration Office, which managed transit permits, and the barricade on the other side. The office also kept Earth's official roster of participants and cargo records. However, it did not have the authority to command every company and institution. The notice stated that firearms and explosives would not be permitted and barred additional company security personnel from crossing. Attached behind it were the company's requests to borrow surveying equipment and rejection letters from 3 researchers. The company had hidden all of it, then split up the equipment and sent it through using special exemption passes and subcontractor agreements. Orban asked,
What if that seal was stolen as well?
I didn't judge it by the seal alone. The silver threads embedded in the paper and the document numbers continue from the official permit I received before. The researchers' signatures also match the research permits I previously processed.
Leon sealed the documents.
That does not mean we should trust them. But it does prove that some parties took no part in this attack and that they were in conflict with the company.
That distinction could be used. From that day on, Greyfall halted all passage through the gate. Carts and stones were piled inside the south gate. On the other side, iron fencing and massive blocks of concrete were put in place. No one was allowed to approach the passage. For 3 days, the healers washed Harden's wound with boiled water and drained the pooled blood. They used healing arts only to stop the bleeding. If they closed a contaminated wound, it would rot from within. Even so, pus began to seep from it before dawn on the 3rd day, and his fever rose. Herbs brought the fever down, but the healer could not guarantee he would last more than 3 days. At the appointed time that day, the gate opened again. Blue light spread through the empty space. Leon watched the other side, from behind the fortress barricade. Earth's guards stood beyond their own barricade as well. There were no people or carts in the space between them. The gate had not vanished. Only passage through it had stopped. After a time, the blue light closed. From then on, the gate was scheduled to open briefly once each day. It was not like a castle gate that could simply be sealed with stone. The conflict inside the fortress only grew. Orban demanded a permanent blockade.
Guns that came through that gate struck us 3 times in a single day. If we accept medicine today, there will be explosives beneath the medicine crates tomorrow. We must sever the route.
Rhea immediately opposed him.
If we abandon the gate, another noble of the kingdom will take our place and join hands with them. Greyfall alone will lose the medicine and tools, as well as control over the gate. The royal family must assume responsibility for inspection and reopen trade immediately.
The residents were divided as well. In front of the infirmary, people shouted for medicine to be brought in. Parents holding feverish children and patients whose medicine had run out stood on that side. At the south gate, the families of the dead soldiers and the miners raised the barricade higher, warning that more guns would come through. After hearing both sides, Leon stood before the gate.
There will be no permanent blockade.
Orban's face hardened.
But I will not hand the gate over to the royal family, either.
This time Rhea narrowed her eyes. Leon ordered a soldier to read out the new conditions for passage. The company responsible for the attacks and any armed personnel it employed were barred from entry. Armed cargo, including firearms, explosives, and armor, was also forbidden. Anyone seeking entry had to submit their affiliation and contract in advance. Only joint investigators, medical personnel, and technicians who could repair essential infrastructure would be admitted. All baggage would be opened in view of the residents, and all entrants would submit to local command.
If they refuse even one condition, we close the gate again.
Rhea asked.
Who will verify the participants?
Yun Sioha will compare them against the records from beyond the gate. Your Grace will observe on behalf of the royal family.
Leon looked at Orban as well.
And the High Priest will observe on behalf of the Order. Each of you will serve as witness to the other.
Rhea did not back down easily.
Send a copy of the investigation records to the royal family. If any concealed cargo is discovered, I will confiscate it in the royal family's name.
Orban added his own conditions.
If even a single weapon is found, the Order will halt that day's inspection. Those admitted may not spend the night outside their designated quarters. Agreed. However, neither of you may remove the barricade or authorize passage alone. Nor may you take any entrant away at your own discretion.
Rhea and Orban looked at each other, then took out their respective seals. Both signed beneath Leon's list of conditions as witnesses. Yun Sioha translated the document to Earth's writing. At the gate's next opening, the soldiers on both sides remained behind their barricades. A fortress soldier fastened the sealed terms to the end of a long pole, placed them in the middle of the empty threshold, and withdrew. An administrator from the other side approached and collected the document. A reply came through at the following opening. The Public Administration Office sent a roster of its own investigators and delegates from registered hospitals and technical institutions. It stated that compensation supplies would be purchased with the company's seized bond, and agreed to local command and public inspection. Yun Sioha struck 3 people with histories of subcontracting for the company from the list, and Leon sent the revised roster back. On the first opening day after the agreement, a person carrying a white flag appeared first on the other side of the gate. Behind them came handcarts loaded with crates of medicine, soap, and sterilization supplies. Simple hand tools such as hammers and saws had been packed separately, along with parts for hand-operated water pumps. They were compensation for the damage caused by the attacks. The carts stopped between the barricades. Resident observers stood on either side of the inspection table as well, 2 family members of patients who had demanded medicine, and 2 miners who had called for the blockade. Yun Sioha checked the participants' identification and contracts one by one. Anyone with financial ties to the company was sent back. Only 2 investigators, 4 medical personnel, and 3 technicians who could repair waterways remained. Ria matched the names on the roster to their faces. Orban's holy knights even turned the empty medicine crates upside down. While Leon's soldiers inspected the handles of the hand tools and the pump pipes, the 4 residents counted the contents of the opened crates against the ledger. There was not a single gun. Only after the inspection was complete did they open the barricade wide enough for one person to pass. Hardin's surgery began that very day. The doctor from beyond the gate reopened the festering wound and removed the rotten blood and flesh. The local healer used healing arts to hold the torn blood vessels closed so he would not lose too much blood. Once the surgery was over, they administered antibiotics to kill the bacteria inside the wound. His fever rose and fell throughout the night. Leon remained outside the infirmary until dawn. As the sun began to rise, the healer opened the door. His fever is coming down. When Leon went inside, Hardin opened his eyes. His lips were dry, but his breathing was steady.
How many days have I been asleep? Go back to sleep. What about the gate? I'll guard it.
Hardin gave a faint smile and fell asleep again. Leon sat beside the bed for a while, listening to his even breathing. Outside the infirmary, the soldiers who had waited all night let out a brief cheer. Only then did Leon finally straighten his rigid shoulders. When he stepped into the corridor, the crying from a bed in the corner abruptly stopped. A child had just died. Not a child who had been shot, but one who had suffered from diarrhea for days, until he could no longer keep down even water. Across from him, an elderly miner was barely holding on, drinking nothing but water thinned with rice gruel. His wound was small, but his body lacked the strength to heal. They had new medicine now, but not enough clean water or food. The healer pointed to a bucket of muddy water. The same smell is coming from 3 wells in the lower village. Even after we boil the water, black residue remains at the bottom. I think water from the abandoned mine is seeping into them. Leon looked first at Hardin, who had survived, and then at the dead child. Stopping guns alone would not be enough to protect his domain. That evening, he spread out the pump schematics brought by the investigators and technicians beside the recovered evidence. He had not allowed them to bring in complicated machinery. Instead, he had them disassemble parts that could be operated by hand and separately mark the components local blacksmiths and carpenters could reproduce.
We will not keep buying finished products.
Leon continued.
We will learn the principles we need and build them again here. We will do the same with medicine, pumps, and inspection tools.
Yun Sioha unfolded an old map showing the waterways beneath the abandoned mine. Leon's finger passed over the 3 contaminated wells and stopped at an old flooded channel.
The first knowledge we bring through will be water.
The channel wound through the depths of the abandoned mine and connected to a blocked shaft directly beneath the gate.